friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sammy if you're new here, and today we're going to be talking all about wedding. But first, if you don't already, make sure to subscribe down below and give this video a thumbs up if you like wedding content. Okay, so today we're going to be talking all about my regrets, reflections, things I didn't like, things I loved about our wedding 2 years later. If you didn't know, I'm a wedding photographer, and so every single weekend I'm at a different wedding, and I see so many things that I wish I would have done or incorporated into my day. So hopefully you can take what I've learned and you can incorporate into your day, whether you're engaged or you're still dating and you might get married in the future. I have a whole list of things that I'm gonna kind of touch on. First, we're gonna go through like my regrets. And I want it to be said, I really have no actual regrets for how the day went. Our wedding day was absolutely perfect. I wouldn't actually change many things, but these are just some things that I have seen or things that looking back, I'm like, oh, I definitely would have done that differently. Or if I were to be getting married right now, these are just things that I would do that I didn't do when I actually got married. As always, take what I say with a grain of salt. What works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. Okay, so diving in, the first thing that really is very broad, but something that I wish I did more of was take photos and videos like myself of the day. I am a huge photo and video person, obviously, and so having those memories is so important to me. And I did have a couple bridesmaids that were taking little clips and videos and things throughout the day, and I'm so thankful for that, but I wish I would have had more. So my advice is put one or two people in charge of just taking videos up the wazoo. Of the venue, of you getting ready, of your parents getting ready, of the florist setting up the flowers. Literally everything I feel like is so important because you only get that day once, and I feel like I want every single piece of that wedding day to stay with me forever. So overall, I wish I had just more iPhone photos and iPhone videos of the wedding day, kind of from other people's perspectives. Okay, so the next array of things is really my fault. This is not by any means any of the vendors' fault. It is 100% my fault, but I wish I would have been more particular about what I wanted. Looking back, I really did not care about a lot of things for our wedding. I was so excited to be married. I was so excited for our wedding, but I didn't really care about a lot of things. First things first, our flowers I didn't really care about. I was going to literally go to Trader Joe's and make my own wedding bouquet a few days before. I didn't really care, and looking back, florals are such a big part of your day. I wish I would have put so much more effort into describing what I wanted. My aunt ended up doing our flowers. She's a florist, so she did them all at cost, which was a huge blessing, but I kind of just let her do whatever she wanted. I gave her some things that I kind of liked, but really I was like, hey, whatever you want to do, go for it. I'm not super picky, which ended up working fine. Our florals really turned out beautiful, but looking back, I wish I would have had a more clear vision for what I wanted the florals for our wedding to look like. So I could have had a Pinterest board and sent her inspo, and it really could have come to life the way that I envisioned it. It was just my bad for not having a vision to kind of go off of. And then the next thing is my hair and makeup. So both my hair and makeup people did a phenomenal job. My hair I loved. So many of you guys have commented on my hair. I loved my wedding hair. It was a beautiful braid. I had a ton of hair back then. My hair is kind of short right now, but I had hair down to here, so it's all my real hair. That is one of the number one questions I get, was that is that extensions? Is that your real hair? It was my real hair. And I loved my wedding braid, but I think I would have rather have my hair down, and I think that's just a comfort thing. I feel most confident with my hair down. I think I just feel the most beautiful with my hair down, and looking back, I feel some of the photos that I don't necessarily love of myself, I would have maybe liked a little more if my hair was down. Or another thing would be, I wish that maybe I had my hair up for the ceremony and then we kind of restyled it and maybe it was down for the reception or something like that to kind of spice it up, switch it up, and give me two wedding day looks. And then with the makeup, my makeup was great. Our makeup artist was great. I have no complaints about her. Again, I had literally no vision. I think I seriously just said to her, do whatever you think will look best. And I did feel really, really pretty on my wedding day. She did a great job. She did the airbrush, so I felt my makeup stayed super well intact. But it just wasn't me. I guess I don't really wear a lot of makeup in general, but it just didn't really feel like me. Totally my fault. I wish I would have like gone through Pinterest and kind of like had an inspo for what I wanted my makeup to like look like and feel like. I didn't do that. She really just like went with it and she did a great job, but I wish I would have like honed in a little bit more on like what I wanted to look like on the day. Okay, so this one is probably the biggest actual regret. If I could go back and change only like one thing, I think this is what I would change, and that is having a sweetheart table. We had our head table kind of like family style, so Sage and I sat like in the front kind of, and then it wrapped around with all of our bridal party, which was really, really nice because we got to actually like converse with people. Like we weren't all sitting in a line, like we were kind of like talking to our bridal party. But literally, I don't remember talking to Sage like at all during dinner, during our reception. Like we would like dance together and like we would like do things together. We just didn't have a moment to like debrief, talk, take in the day together. And I feel like if we would have had a sweetheart table and it was just us together eating, that maybe would have happened. So if you are on the fence about it, I strongly recommend having a sweetheart table. You can still have like the head table with the rest of the bridal party and stuff like behind you or something like that. But I just think it's so nice to at least have like a little bit of time with your spouse and like reflect and talk about the day and like how their morning went, how your morning went, and all that good stuff. Okay, so this one is also a major regret, and that is not inviting our dog to our wedding. I know a lot of people have different opinions about this, and at the time our dog was only about like 7 or 8 months old, and so she would have been crazy. Like going down the aisle, it would have been an absolute disaster. But I wish I would have like incorporated her in some way, because our dog is like our kid. Like we love her so much. We don't have kids yet, and so like she is a big part of our family and our life. And I feel like even if she would like come to the reception and like we could have like danced with her or like held her or got a picture with her, like that would have been so special to me. And logistically, it's really hard, especially because our wedding was about an hour and a half away from where we lived. So like it would have been really difficult logistically to have her there for like a little bit of the day. However, I wish we would have made it happen because I love our dog. I feel like I would have really cherished like a wedding picture with her. And my mom like was really sweet. She surprised us at her head table with like a little printed out picture of her in a frame, which was so sweet. So she was like there in spirit, but I really wish that Mabel could have like actually been at our wedding day. Okay, the next thing I don't like regret, but it definitely would have been fun. And I think now if I was having a wedding, I would definitely do this, is having 2 wedding dresses. I think that is such a fun trend. I know everyone says like, oh my gosh, like you shouldn't want to take your wedding dress off, but I don't know, something about like changing into like almost like an after party dress, like a short, fun, flirty little dress for like the dancing part of the day. I think that'd be so much fun. And for your photographer and videographer, it gives them like a second look. You get like more pictures. You could take your golden hour pictures and like the second look, and I think that just would have been really fun. Not a major regret, but definitely something I feel like I would do now. Okay, so this is something I wish I would have done, and it was inspired by TikTok. I'm sure you guys have heard of like the disposable camera trend, and I know people have a lot of different opinions on this. I know they're very expensive, so they're expensive to buy and they're expensive to get developed, and a lot of the pictures aren't like turning out the way you envision them. However, I definitely wish I would have had some way to like see the wedding from my guest's point of view, and I think disposable cameras would have been really fun, but also iPhone photos or like little what are they, Polaroid cameras, something like that, to where like our guests would be able to take photos of us, of them, like of what their experience was. I think that would be so special, and I really regret not having anything for them to kind of capture the day with. Like I said, that might not be for everyone, but I'm a photographer. I really cherish pictures, and so that's something I really wish I would have done. And while we're on the topic of pictures, I really wish I would have had more like group photos of like our bridal party or our friend groups. We have a few really close-knit friend groups, and we don't have any like group pictures of us all together from the wedding day. Like we have like one-off iPhone photos, but like none of us all together. And I think that would have been so special to have. Even like my bridal party, like it was kind of 2 different like friend groups I have. And of course we have the whole group of girls, which is so sweet. But I wish we would have had like a picture of me with these girls and a picture of me with these girls. And that wasn't like the photographer's fault. I didn't instruct her anyway, and I wish like going back it would have said, hey, can we have like this list of photos in addition to like the regular bridal party photos? If you want that, I'm a photographer. It doesn't make us upset. Literally just let us know what shots you want and we'll make it happen. That's just something, looking back now, that I do for other couples that I'm like, oh, I really wish I would have done that for myself. Okay, and then the last thing of my regrets isn't really wedding day related, but I wish we would have gone on a bigger honeymoon. So a little bit of backstory. We got married during COVID, and so we had a big trip to Hawaii planned. We were gonna go for 2 weeks. It was like we were staying in all these different Airbnbs on the islands, and we were really, really looking forward to that. But obviously with COVID, Hawaii closed their borders, and so we waited honestly until like about 3 weeks before our wedding, and then like they extended the closure of their borders, and so we could not go to Hawaii. So we really were like trying to figure out like and scrambling what to do, because we knew we still wanted to go on like a honeymoon, but we really had nowhere to go because of COVID. And so we ended up going to Key West in Florida for only like 4 or 5 days, and I don't think it was a bad experience. I mean, we definitely had fun, and it was like super carefree and exciting because it was our honeymoon, but Key West isn't really our vibe. It's very touristy and very like kitschy and like party like, if that makes sense, and that's not really our type of vacation. So it was fun, but I definitely wish we would have like gone hiking or like gone and done something like that was more our speed. We really like made a super quick decision with Key West. And then I think a lot of couples get stuck into like, oh, we'll do a little honeymoon now, and then for our anniversary we'll do a big honeymoon, or for, you know, we'll wait and do a big honeymoon for this time. And I promise you, unless you're literally booking it like a year in advance, you're like, okay, we are for sure doing this big honeymoon this date, there's a really good chance it's not actually going to happen. We have said for like the past 2 years that we wanted to go back and go to Hawaii, or that we wanted to plan like a big long like honeymoon like vacation, because we didn't really get that experience, and still hasn't happened. Not saying that it won't, it's just life gets really busy and you don't really have like the time, or you don't really have like the urgency as like making it a priority. So I just recommend go on the big honeymoon, splurge, you're not gonna regret it, and like when else in life are you gonna be able to go on like this really extravagant, beautiful trip? I don't know your life, maybe you do that all the time, but for us, like, we're not gonna go on like a big extravagant trip like every year, you know, that's kind of like a once in a lifetime thing, and I wish we would have really capitalized on that and like gone, my dog's barking, gone on a big honeymoon right after our wedding. My dog has been barking for so long. Okay, now we're gonna touch on the things that I absolutely loved about our wedding, the things that I definitely would not change, and some of just like looking back, the things I remember after 2 years, because so many of the little details like kind of fade away, but these are some of like the really prominent things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad we did that. Number one is our prayer and like our first touch. I know this is something really, really popular. We did not do a first look, and I'm glad we didn't. I think it would have been really fun to do a first look, but just for our wedding day, I feel like I'm glad that we didn't end up doing that, but we did pray together like back to back in between like a wall, and that is just something that I really cherish about the day. I think it was really emotional for me, and it was just like a nice way to kind of like see each other kind of and like talk with each other before the wedding day actually like started. And people do so many things. Sometimes they'll do private vows, sometimes they'll just talk, sometimes they'll pray together, but if you don't want to do a first look, doing like a first touch is super, super popular, and I definitely recommend it. Okay, and then next was our vendors. We absolutely loved all of our vendors, literally had the best team working with us. I'll try to tag everyone down below, or actually I'll tag my wedding video down below, and all of the vendors are tagged in that. But our photographer, videographer, our planner, our venue, everyone was absolutely phenomenal, and I would 100% go back and hire them if I was having a wedding again today. This is probably the most popular thing about my wedding, and that is the food trucks. I am so glad we went with food trucks. It was so much fun. It was so unique. The food was delicious. We did have a little bit of a problem. One of the trucks was like an hour late. So that was like, we were scrambling with that one, but it ended up perfect, and it was so affordable. It was just fun. Cannot rave about it enough. And I have so much like positive feedback from the food trucks, and so many of you guys have said that like because of my wedding you did food trucks for your wedding, and it was really, really fun. So that is something that I definitely would not go back and change. We loved our experience with food trucks, and I always tell my couples now that that is like one of the best affordable options for your wedding day. Okay, another thing that we did, and this is a little controversial, but we invited a lot of friends to our wedding. I think I have a smaller family than Sage, and his family is a little bit bigger, and so I probably had more friends there than he did, but we had a really good group of like younger people. I would say over half our wedding was under the age of like 26, 25. And it's very interesting because a lot of the people that came to our wedding, like we really aren't that good of friends with anymore, but in that stage of life when we got married, those were some of our closest friends. And I think, you know, people are always like, oh my gosh, don't invite them to your wedding if they're not gonna be your friend in 3 years or whatever it may be. But I really loved the people we invited to our wedding. It was so much fun because we had so many of our college friends there, and like it just felt like a big party celebrating us. And I don't think it would have been like that if we had only invited family or only kept it to like a small amount of like close friends. Friends are super important to both of us, and I think that we made the right call in inviting who we did, even if maybe we're not as close with them now as we were when we got married. It definitely like made the whole day seem just so fun. So many people came up to me after our wedding and was like, oh my gosh, this is the most fun wedding we've ever been to. And I feel like that was really because of the younger population that we had invited. Another thing I really loved about our wedding venue was that everything was in one place. And I think this makes it so easy, very like relaxed. You're not trying to get from point A to point B. You're not getting ready in two different locations and trying to get to the ceremony space. Like everything was right there. We got ready there, like Sage came at like noon, he got ready there, our ceremony was there, our reception was there, like no one had to move anywhere. And I think that like just made it super stress-free. All of our photos were taken on the property, so we really were there the whole day, and I loved that. I know a lot of people like get married in a church, or maybe they get married in one location and then they drive to a ceremony or to a reception location. That works fine too. Like it's not a big like deal breaker, but I just really liked how relaxed it was with everything being in one spot. And that brings me to my last thing that I really remember about the day, and that is just how stress-free and like relaxed it was for me. I know a lot of brides get caught up in everything and they're really anxious and they're really like antsy, and like the whole day is really like stress inducing for them. And I was just super intentional about not being that way. Like there was definitely things like it rained our whole wedding morning, and like I was stressed about it, but like I didn't let that impact my day at all. And like I just kept praying over the venue, like, Lord, please take this rain away. And I felt just such a peace about it. And I don't know, the whole day was just so stress-free. And I think that's because I really just told myself, like, Sam, this is the happiest day of your life, regardless of what happens. Like everything could go wrong and this would still be like the very best day of your life. And I was just so in the moment. I was so happy, like literally every single part of the day I was so happy, even setting up. Like it was downpouring rain and I was in this like Christmas t-shirt and it was like 7 a.m. and we're setting up the barn with all my bridesmaids. I just remember I was so happy and excited, and like I carried that energy with me throughout the whole day. And I just think that made the world of difference, because there were a lot of things on our wedding day that could have really like dampened my mood, and I don't know, I could have gotten really discouraged and I could have gotten really stressed, and it might have like made the experience a lot worse for me. So I just highly recommend keep like your marriage at the forefront of your wedding, and like if little things go wrong, it's not the end of the world, because your marriage is coming out of it at the end of the day. And I think that that is just one of the biggest like wedding tips I tell all my couples. I tell everyone I can, like it's just a day and not everything is gonna go perfect, and that's okay. Like that's what makes it so fun. So that wraps up all of my wedding reflections, regrets, everything like that 2 years later. And overall, our wedding day was just truly one of the happiest days of my life, and I'm so thankful that I've had the opportunity to share it with so many of you. I go back and I watch some of my wedding videos I've made, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this has really been impactful to people. And so if you've stayed this long, thank you so much for like caring about my wedding day. I really hope that this helps you kind of navigate the wedding process and helps you have the day that you envision. Let me know what other videos you want to see. I'm going to be traveling to a bunch of destination weddings, so I really want to do like little like weekends in my life of a wedding photographer. I think that would be really fun. But if there's any other like wedding topic that you want me to expand on that I've maybe mentioned on TikTok or on Instagram, drop it down below. I always feel like I don't have all the answers for weddings, but I can at least provide you what I do know. And I do go to a lot of them, so I'm happy to share my thoughts on any specific like wedding topic that you have questions on. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Give this video a thumbs up. Follow me on the gram. Follow me on TikTok. You know the whole drill. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.